Hi everybody and welcome to Weekend Headlines. Got Mark O'Hain. Mark, let's start in a very sad place with Kobe Bryant last night dying with his daughter Gianna and at least 4 or 5 other people, the pilot, a coach, his wife, his daughter, and the team's coach, all dying last night in California. Flying in some mist and fog, and slammed right into a mountain. Very sad.
Yeah, it's very tragic. I mean, I switched on the Blitz channel about 11 o'clock last night just to catch the whole day's highlights package of goals and wickets and that, and just saw that breaking news, and it's just one of those stories that just numbs you instantly. You know, a day before that, LeBron James was raving about what a magnificent player Kobe was, and he had just gone past his all-time point scores, taking him to 3rd position. He had tweeted him, and every time you saw something on social media, it was about the value of life and how short it is and how we need to get everything out of a day. And he was promoting this positivity the whole time, and just the reaction that I saw in that first hour on social media. And it wasn't just from the basketball fraternity, it was from your top clubs in global sport, from the top players in global sport, all of them just saying what an inspiration he has been and just how shocked and numb they were. And then mainly the video of him and his daughter that went viral a week ago, of them down on the court. And
well, interestingly enough, sorry Mark to cut you off, he hadn't been back to Staples Center in Los Angeles since they retired his number, and he'd made mention. I mean, you can see in the photos and their interaction just how much joy she brought into his life, and reintroduced him to basketball again in a way. First time he only went back to Staples Center to watch the game with her. And I think he even quoted was saying, for the first time, I'm not seeing the game through my eyes, I'm seeing the game through Gianna's eyes. So, when you look at it, 41 years of age, his accomplishments, just starting to celebrate life again in basketball life. Really, really sad.
Yeah, and there's that wonderful story that he was quoted as saying when everyone came up to him and said, "You got to have a son to continue the legacy," and she said, "Don't worry, I've got this."
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just tremendously sad, and every tragedy is sad, but there's just something that's very numbing about this one.
Yeah, I think the picture of the two of them is so sad, which even makes this sadder. He's a 18-time All-Star. He's 4th in scoring, I think, with 33,643 points. MVP, 2-time. He's won the NBA championships 5 times. 2 of those he was MVP. So there wasn't anything this guy couldn't do.
2 Olympic gold medals with the USA team, 2008, 2012.
That's true.
2008 deemed officially the greatest player playing the game in that year.
Yeah.
So, and retired just a couple of years ago, and to have shown that longevity.
Yeah. Scored 81 points in 1 game.
And 16 his final.
16 his final. I mean, can you imagine retiring and scoring 60? Now, to put that in context for our South African viewers and people who aren't au fait with basketball, usually it's considered excellent if you're scoring 20, 22, 23 points a game. I mean, to score 60 when you're leaving the game. And unlike a lot of other players that retire, then come back and retire, he did it with class and grace. And there was
and a one-team man, 20 years he played for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Never wanted to play for anyone else. Wrote the most beautiful poem that was turned into a documentary about basketball and won an Oscar for it. So they spoke of him as one of the great players, but also a philosopher and an inspiration. And I think that's where he converted so many to the game, from a spectator point of view, an observer point of view, and not just those players who were inspired from him for the last 10 years, the new generation that attributes so much of their love for the game to his achievements and his exploits. And it's just, it's Monday here, and it's happened more than 24 hours ago, but I keep on going onto social media, and it's still people saying it's as if they've just, Tiger Woods said he couldn't understand the chance that he was getting, do it for him, and when he got off, when he was walking to the 18th, his caddy said to him that he's been killed in a helicopter crash, and a very emotional Tiger Woods doing his interview straight after said, "I heard about this 5 minutes ago. I don't know what to say."
No, and they were showing pictures of when I fell asleep and woke up watching the end of the golf last night, and there was a lot of pictures in reference to Tiger Woods and Kobe. not having the volume up, I just thought they were just doing some sort of soundbite or some association. So it was tragic to read of Kobe's death and all the other people involved, because those people usually get lost in the shuffle when a superstar dies. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Kobe's family, the family and friends of all the people that lost their life in that accident. Okay, on to something a little bit more, well, I was going to say a bit better, but South African cricket.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, again, you know, we love our sport and we are critics and followers of the sport, so something like the tragedy puts into perspective a game of sport. But on the context of sport, very disappointing again from the Proteas. They're into day 4 now, so by the time you kind of see this, it may be over. Proteas may have taken to day 5. But
you don't have any confidence in Faf to score a quick 150?
Do you know what? I would actually, people think I'm anti-Faf now because I've highlighted just how poor his form's been.
Yeah.
I would love him. It's going to be his last home test match. I would love him to go out and kind of battle through 100 and just show some resilience. He took a magnificent catch to end the England second innings. But the first 3 days were just highlighted by just some awful captaincy, some inept bowling. Tom Eaton, who's one of the more astute students of the game when it comes to cricket, tweeted that most captains resign by fax, by email, do it through a press conference, do it through social media. Faf resigned his captaincy by giving his most ineffective bowler the ball and spreading the field to England's number 10 and 11 while they put on 90 plus. And he just looked disinterested. That whole team looked disinterested. And, you know, the writing's on the wall there. I really think his time has come and gone. Remember him for the heroics that there were, but you just can't justify his inclusion at the moment. And our state of cricket is very poor. And England, a team that's also building, and they're missing quite a few players, have shown in these last 3 tests just how poor it is, but also how poor our first-class standard is.
Yeah, it's terrible, eh? What did he get? 3 in the first innings?
3, you know, and people, again, I go on social media and people are calling Bavuma my man. Like, what's your man got? He got 6, so he doubled him, okay, at 3. But it's not the context of Bavuma or if it's Faf.
Well, he's not your man or their man, it's our man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing that really, South Africans can be very divisive in playing the race card. And it's not about race, it's about performance.
You know, and Faf's saying, I can't let the team down now in the build-up to this test. They need me now. Then you've got to go out and show that mongrel, and you've got to show the application. You've got to show that.
Do you think he would have got 100 in one of the tests? He would have announced his retirement then, because people like to announce retirements on the back of a great performance.
Yeah, I think if he was in good nick, he may have said, "I'm going at the end of the series." So he goes out on that kind of that glory wave, and he said, "I'm here. I'm battling this out. I'm going to do it for the team." But I just found over and above his poor form, his captaincy, and you go back a couple of years, the one thing that he was highly regarded for was being a very astute captain, and being one of the more intellectual, cricketing intellectuals. And I just found his captaincy in the series to be very baffling, to be very poor. And as an armchair critic there, sitting there, I'm not alone, because the experts sitting in the commentary box, the Kevin Petersons, the Sean Pollocks, the Eric Simons.
Did anybody ask them the tough questions?
Well, they've said they just are totally baffled by the way his field placements were, the way he used his bowlers. But ever since that World Cup, where he started off by saying, whether we win it or not, it's a game of cricket. We're going there to have fun. There just seemed this hardened edge that he had always brought to the team, just seemed to go with it. So maybe he's read the Monk book, I don't know. And he's decided,
sold his Ferrari.
Yeah, you know, Fafu sold his bat. And so he's now decided there's life beyond cricket, and it's like when a boxer or a fighter loses their edge and they don't want to go into that crappy gym and train. I just feel when I was watching Faf
Well, the book he was reading was very philosophical, the Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, which talks about not losing and not winning, just keeping the cycle going and reinventing yourself. So it seems to me, by what I see in terms of the material he's reading, that he's very much in that philosophical headspace, you know?
Yeah, and at his age and kind of with the T20, and, you know, I don't blame any guy who wants to just do the T20 global circuit now, make his money and kind of go off into retirement and stop whatever businesses. Test cricket is just such a different beast. I mean, Sean Tate once said it when he retired, when he was at his peak of his powers. And he said, I get paid X amount of money to bowl 4 overs a day. Now they want me to bowl 19 into the wind on the 5th day. No. And then they said he wasn't a hardened Australian. That's what's happened to the new generation. But I also understand the dynamic flow and that absolute fighter that Faf was in so many of those innings just doesn't seem to be there mentally. And I'm sure it's not a case of he's lacking intent, but maybe he's just moved on to another phase of his life. And
yeah, but T20 to me still, and this is a subject for another day, but it is about mercenaries. You know, if you've got a bowler saying that why bowl 19 overs, it was the 19 overs in the long form of the cricket that got him recognised in the first place.
Well, it's a generational shift now, because if you look at every country in their school systems and their junior cricket, it's just dominated by T20. And
yeah, that's fine. I understand that, but T20 is not dominating the world. I mean, you look at, they get big crowds in Australia, they get big crowds in India, and it's a big thing. But where else is it a big spectator sport?
No, but I'm talking in relation to Test cricket and the ethos that used to come from, you're 8, 9 years old, you start playing one-day games at school. You get up to under 18, you're playing a 2-day game, you want to bat for 60, 70 overs, you want to bowl, you want to be the guy in the last session of a schools match, knocking someone over, and they say, like, this guy's got tick in that. Now the kids want to get out of there in 2 hours.
Yeah.
They want to bowl their 4 overs, take 3 wickets, and then
get home and play a fortnight.
Exactly. So I think that is where Test cricket is sitting with a huge problem at the moment. They don't reward Test cricketers enough. So the money is in T20, where the Test cricketers should be top of the pile. If you play Test cricket, you should be the highest paid cricketer in the world. And that may kind of reinforce the notion for the youngsters. That's where I want to pursue a cricketing career, not on that global circuit of T20.
Yeah, no, that's true. And look, it's obvious to me that Faf must go. He should do it voluntarily, because, you know, I don't think we can wait for another great performance and then announce it.
But I mean,
who's going to take over?
Well,
who is it to take over?
Well, there's a lot of talk that they want Temba to take over, but again, is he good enough to take over in terms of a captain should select himself? So you select the team and then you select your captain.
Okay, if not Bavumba, then who?
You know, there's been a push for Dean Elgar, who has captained at franchise level. He hasn't had a great series, but he is one of those hardened professionals, and he's been around.
Has any of them had a great series?
Not really, eh?
No.
Quinny de Kock has had a decent series. He showed a lot of promise. He's played with freedom. I think he scored 450s. And
why aren't they moving him up the order?
Well, he's now gone to 5, and he kind of got 76 in the first innings, flourished. But it's again, he's now the one-day captain. You also, you know, I think him batting at 5 is as high as you want him to go, because he keeps as well. If you're going to invest in someone as a captain across all the codes, then invest in him, because he makes the team on merit in all 3, ODI, T20, and the Test side. They may be easing him into that, and I also know from a transformation point of view there would be a push for Bavuma, but I questioned why Bavuma was so easily dropped, not why he should be the captain.
Yes.
And
you've never argued for that.
I've never argued for that. I've never argued for a straight swap with Fafa either. So I would say go with someone like an Elgar, or invest in all 3 formats with a Quinny and build a team around him.
Okay. Well, the South African women are doing well, so all's not lost in cricket.
Yeah, magnificent result. I mean, to go over to New Zealand and beat the New Zealand cricket side, which traditionally has been in the top 3 of the world, and to win it emphatically. I mean, they chased down the second ODI. They won it. They got the 170 runs in 23 overs. Interesting thing though, Belinda Besaidenote. I went on the scoreboard and saw Belinda Besaidenote out for 6. And it was the New Zealand scoreboard, and she played for the Proteas up to 2015, and now she's opened the batting for New Zealand. So, but a fantastic result there. The nice one though for South Africa, because our 7s didn't do particularly well. 10th in Hamilton, New Zealand won it there. Change of format again. They never played a quarter final. So if you didn't come second, I didn't come first in your group, you were out. So
why is that? That's a bit silly.
They condensed the structure, because now it's women and men's teams playing. So just for this one and the one in Sydney next week, they're trialing this. I don't think it works. In terms of a spectacle, top 2 should go through to a quarterfinal. Oh. But what it does put the heat on these guys now is that there's no easy game. You drop that one big one, you're gone. And that's what happened to South Africa. Surprising to see Kenya smash them, 36-14. So it's also taken us for a bit of that 7s cloud and kind of had to reassess a few things. But surprised with that result.
Yeah, very surprising. Me too. Was it 21-19 against England that got them crashing out? That
was the first one, and then kind of they came back with a win, and then Kenya, I think they knew that they were gone already, and then Kenya smashed them and really gave it to them.
Well, it's going to be tough in Sydney under the same format.
Yeah, I mean, but it's again one of those things. You could find in New Zealand losing one game and going out and playing for 9th and 10th, and South Africa going through. So, but it puts New Zealand up a good 12 points on the table, and in line to potentially win their first World Series in a couple of years.
Yeah, good for them.
Not always so good for them. I like the Blitzbokke.
Let's chat about Liverpool. 2-2. Well, they beat Wolves. Great result there. I think that was, like I said, I pointed out, and I think a lot of people, a real banana peel. And now they've got a bit of what I would say is a light schedule. West Ham, Bournemouth, and nothing really on the horizon that's going to cause too much concern. Draw with Shrewsbury. That was probably mostly their under-23 side. And I love what Klopp said. Maybe you can tell everybody what they.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was following it more on social media, with flicking over the channels and that. And at 2-0, I thought, a comfortable 3-0 win here. And then I saw a goal alert on the Liverpool thing, and with Shrewsbury had scored 2-2. And then he brought a couple of the big boys on in the last 10 minutes. They didn't have that impact. And he was the first. I love listening to this bloke. He just said we weren't good enough today. You got to hand it to them, and they deserve their return trip to Anfield. And then he made
which is a big day for a Shrewsbury.
The biggest day for them. And then he said, but they'll be playing the under-23 side, and I won't be there, neither will the 11 top players.
Yeah.
They'll be on a winter break. He said, because we can't complain about these guys playing too much, that they look fatigued, they look tired. And then the next moment I'm playing them in an FA Cup replay at home against Shrewsbury.
Well, many fans must be, or many people that haven't studied the FA Cup or know the tradition, when a team like Shrewsbury draws a Liverpool, and they always pray for them to have the game at Anfield, because they get 50% of the gates, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's a massive financial incentive, and also for the travelling fans to go there and take a League One side there and actually just enjoy that occasion. It's the perfect result, more so than actually getting even a win at home, because you don't know who you're going into the next round.
Yeah.
But it again adds to that romance of the FA Cup. But I think if you look at Liverpool and you look at Klopp, he's got two priorities. That's win the Premier League for the first time in 30 years and hopefully defend their crown as best in Europe. FA Cup would be a bonus. If the kids get them to a certain point, I think he may continue to play those kids.
No, absolutely. And I think that also it brings into focus the undefeated season, because if he's going to be resting his team for the FA Cup, then it takes away one competition and a real drag, and real drain on resources there. So maybe in the back of his mind he wants to chase that perfect season.
Yeah, and 40 unbeaten in the league, dating back to last year as well. And Pep Guardiola congratulating them on their success this year, saying they are the champions. They have to see out the season. And then defending his own team and saying to the reporters, you think that we've failed in our campaign, look who has succeeded. He said it's the best team he's ever seen. So, and they need to, he said they're not far off them, but they need to do a little bit in the transfer window now to actually get back up to Liverpool standards. So he said they're not happy with being second, but they've also got to look at when you get beaten by a better side, or better side performs, you've got to actually acknowledge that.
No, and in fairness, I mean, Man City have had far more injuries this year than Liverpool. You know, they've had a few guys out for an extended period, and that hasn't played into their hands, obviously. Liverpool's been, and sometimes you've got to be lucky in seasons and have injury-free seasons, and Liverpool's had a relatively good run with injuries.
Yeah, and again, a credit to the management of the players, and a credit
absolutely.
to how he's trusted the youth system in their club, how he's kind of pinpointed what the priorities are, and I just think we keep on going back to the matches they've been unbeaten, and they play some of the most amazing football. But what they've shown this year is a resilience to win 2-1. I remember that Aston Villa game where it looked like they were gone, and they came back and scored 2 goals in the last 3 minutes. That reminded me of the great Man United sides under Ferguson.
Yeah.
That somehow they just conjured up a goal when you thought they were completely out of the game. And the greatest sides win ugly as well as they win with great flamboyance. And this Liverpool side has found that.
Well, can you imagine they go through the season undefeated? And then how do they improve on that the following year?
Well, it's weird because last year when they lost one game and they came second by a point, Klopp said, well, to win this league, we can't lose a game. So to date, they're proving true to their manager's philosophy.
Yeah, for sure. But I think they can afford to lose 3 or 4 games this year and still win the league.
I think so as well. I think because they're so far ahead, once they kind of, and we spoke about it last week where you said it's not necessarily that they need 30 points. They may need 16 because...
27 now.
once they see other teams dropping, and that intensity will go.
Yeah.
And I still don't see them going through undefeated, just because of the massive margin there is. They're 16 points ahead of City with a game in hand. So effectively 19 points. We've seen that in any other sport when a team wins a series and they've still got to play 2 or 3 matches, how that intensity just drops. So they'll win it comfortably, but it would be a major achievement for them to actually do it without dropping a game.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, Mark, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it. Nice catch up, and I'll see you next week.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.
Cheers, then.